Hi there, this is a quick update for House of the Dragon Season 2, reacting to the first teaser trailer. It's weird, I'm seeing everyone else's reaction videos and the comments, and I wanted to clarify something about that Addam of Hull is in the teaser trailer, and then responding to the meta-level issue of putting spy information in this or not. There's two shots in the trailer that have Seasmoke in it. And the first one is pretty obvious that it's from a bad angle. It's from below, you're only seeing his head from an angle, it's focused on the dragon, but a surprisingly large number of people spontaneously wondered, is this Nettles? When, well, no, it's Addam of Hull. And, okay, I understand if you didn't read the books, but people who did read the books, who are spoiled for they know the story of the books, well, it's equally possible it's Addam. The thing is, like 2 months ago, when they were filming this, we got really prominent spy photos of Clinton Liberty as Addam of Hull filming on a beach. And when you see them side by side, these are very clearly, it is obviously Clinton Liberty looking up at the dragon. It's the same costume. I understand not every channel is looking at the spy photos, it was really fast. And I'm not blaming people for an instantaneous mistake. It's on a meta level. It is really weird when you see people in the comment sections insisting they don't want to be spoiled, but, oh, this is ruining it. They're not just for this, that they're doing something stupid I don't like. I'm going to hate on this. And then when I say, oh no, I have spy information, they're not doing that. It's actually okay. They'll go, do not share spy info with me. Well, you are angry at it and criticizing it, and I'm allaying your fears. That, you see, it's on a meta level, it's so weird for me that we are, me, Wake the Dragon, Redanian Intelligence, we are spy reporters and analysts, that we're trying to accurately figure out what's going on, even if it's something relatively mundane like, oh, these are spy photos of Rhaena going to the Vale on a horse. It's not some huge change, but it's just, oh, they're actually putting that on screen. It took me a while to realize that some people just aren't playing the same game that we are. Not named channels here, I'm talking the really out there stuff of the theorization is the point. They are making a game of coming up with the most entertaining theories rather than the most accurate ones. And the whole telephone game of the internet and how the internet leads to mob mentality down your own pigeonholes, that they're not just saying this is a theory I like, but this is probably Laenor. This is Laenor. This was confirmed as Laenor. And they just talk themselves into thinking that when it's, I like that phrase, it's like you're on season 4 of a TV show no one else was watching, when they refer to theories you haven't even heard of. And this isn't mainstream channels, I'm not talking about that. For that matter, I have to stress, even clickbait channels were surprisingly not endorsing this, and because they jump on any spy photo, they made a big deal of more than one clickbait channel. Because they'd made such a big deal of the Addam of Hull spy photo 2 months ago, they went, guys, this is the spy photo we were reporting on. Why do you think this is Nettles? It looks like the spy photo we had. So it's not one person driving a narrative, and that's what frightens me more. It's that crowd mentality thing that multiple people, many people, completely independently, in comment sections, not just on YouTube, but Twitter, on other people's channels, when I'm seeing blind reactions. And it's not, oh, okay, that's not Nettles, I was confused for a minute, but they want it to be. Now, for the record, this ties into the bigger issue of we don't think Nettles or Daeron are in Season 2, because they're going at a much slower pace. Season 1 was a hit, so they're not going to rush it like Game of Thrones did, but take their sweet time covering everything. We think, based on casting reports, that the Season 2 finale will be the Battle of Red Fork, when the Riverlands campaign begins in earnest. Like, that is relatively, we know Rook's Rest is episode 4. Solidly know from spy photos, because Alan Taylor's directing it. It's just so weird that, I'm not even criticizing other channels, that so many people were reporting on that whole truthiness thing of, it's what I want to be true. And not just because I want Nettles here. The joke is, any blonde, get ready for people saying any blonde person in the background of King's Landing surely must be Daeron. That's another joke that was going on. People going, oh, it was that Daeron, to a lesser extent, but people wanted to think that. I'm saying, well, no. I respect if people want to go into this cold, with no book information. They're going, I'm watching it as a TV-only person. But you see, I'm saying that a TV-only person wouldn't know who Nettles and Daeron are, so that's a contradiction in terms. That you're spoiled because you read the book. Why do you not want more things? And I understand, don't come onto someone else's stream and share spoilers. I'm usually so eager I do that. I'm sorry, I apologize. But if I haven't had giant spoilers of it, there's a massive change. Usually I'll just say, oh no, we have spy photos and spy reports that they're staying pretty faithful to what the book did. Is still enough to set some people off, and I really don't. I'm just trying to allay your fears and not doing anything weird. The other big thing is, well, the first image was pretty straightforward. The people who saw the spy photo could recognize it well enough that this is Addam. The second one is that big shot of Rhaenyra on the beach with Syrax and the other dragon that enough people recognized was Seasmoke, and it turned into a thing that a lot of people chatted themselves up that this must be Dreamfire, Helena's dragon. It's not. It's Seasmoke. Because we never had a good look at Dreamfire, and I admit that would be difficult because they're both the same breed. From what we've seen of Dreamfire, she's the war dragon breed with the dinosaur-like head, and a similar color. You know, there's gray versus pale blue in darkness, look similar. They actually do, and that'll be a problem in Season 2, that we want, once there's 17 dragons on screen, and we've run through colors of the rainbow, you know, that Sunfire has to look really gold and have a different look than Syrax. Caraxes is his own thing altogether, but Meleys is red, Vhagar is green, she's bronze in the book, but okay, that at a certain point there's going to be dragons with similar colors that you need to have them as different breeds. That those are the two, I think, so far at least, that, like maybe Tyraxes is bright purple or something just to set him apart from his brother Vermax, who otherwise is the same body shape, I don't know. But I can see how people might wonder that, but dismiss it immediately as no, they're not making a big change. We also had spy photos of this beach meeting. It's the sowing of the dragon seeds. That, like, one of the first things that happens is, because he's like the first dragon seed, Addam shows up with Seasmoke, and Rhaenyra looks at him, and I think what they were trying to do, as others pointed out in the teaser, is build up fake tension that, are they going to fight? They're not getting ready to fight. You don't see the dragons hissing and snapping at each other. It's so many people... The reason I'm yelling about theorization is it's what allowed Season 8 to happen. It's what allowed Seasons 5 through 7 to happen, which were also crap. That, going back to Season 2, when the Talissa thing happened, it's called honeypotting to us. The Talissa is a Lannister honeypot theory. People would come up with elaborate theories that were entertaining, that would in turn explain, no, Littlefinger isn't dead, that was a faceless man, to hide bad story elements. In this case, we're not hiding bad story elements, but just in the full year and a half to Season 8, it's you aren't real journalists and you aren't real TV critics, and the sense of betrayal that, like, mainstream outlets, you know who they are, not YouTube, I mean magazines, would engage in reading off Reddit speculation, and not once did they do cinematography analysis to realize, you know, the cinematography is turned to shit compared to Season 1. All they're doing is making tight close-ups of the lead actor faces to the point it's hurting the show. The dialogue level has noticeably dropped by counting out the subtitles. I remember that stunning chart where they showed the subtitles. From that, the dialogue has declined every season in terms of, because they want to show these performances, these faces, the actors emoting with no dialogue. We know this because they've said this repeatedly. That the horror I had when they were openly saying shit like this on the Blu-rays. If you thought Austin Film Fest panel was bad, they've been saying that for years on the Blu-rays. Just mainstream news wasn't, you know, researching their own Blu-ray commentaries, or much less acting like a professional film critic and going, you know, the cinematography in this scene is a little weird, which led to how weird Season 8 looked physically. All they were doing was engaging in empty speculation. And the theories are the point. Stand back and unfocus your mind, like when you see one of those images of the two black faces turning into a white vase between them. The job of TV recappers in the off-season is hard, and it is really, really easy to make up empty theories. That's why they loved shows like Lost or Yellow Jackets, where theorization is half the point. That's the game they're playing. not analyzing character arcs because they don't make sense, or that mystery box style J.J. Abrams thing, but what's going to happen next is easy. You don't need to have a film studies degree to do it. You're just an entertaining theorist, rather than breaking down, or even a literary critic, thematically, not even talking about the cinema and visuals, thematically, this is the betrayal and themes, themes of 8th grade book reports, the themes of that Robb was betrayed like this. There was no retroactive analysis of what happened in the prior season, because if you did, like if you analyze Season 7, it's gibberish, much less Season 8. If you analyze Season 5 retroactively, it's gibberish. And you saw that the rational, analytical, literary fandom of the books getting pushed out Season 5 onwards, or leaving on their own. It was, a natural selection. The only people left were the ones who liked empty theorization. And I even see them saying this, the theories were more fun than actually finding out what happened. No. And we have to break them of that, much like a horse. That isn't what analysis is. Now, if you say, I want to go into this cold, I didn't read the book, I genuinely respect that. But, and if it's a major shocking change, to spell out my mission statement here, I will report on spy stuff because I want the show to succeed, and more often than not, the spy reports say they're actually staying pretty close to what the book did. So what I see as my job here is allaying the fears of the book readership that the analysis, the quality of journalism is dropped, and there's crazy theories instead of real reporting. When you look at the facts in hand, they're not really changing that much. So, all the crazy stuff going into Season 1, and I was here saying, no, they're actually pretty faithful, I'm not worried about it. That was fine. Obviously, I think, Rhaenys coming through the floorboards at the coronation was the low point of the season, but I don't think that was a deal breaker, even for the writers who did it. I said this in my report. I said, I understand what you were trying to do. You wanted to give Rhaenys more to do. You wanted to give her an arc, but you needed another episode to tell that well. Same thing with Kristen Cole. You needed another episode to set that up well, but it wasn't just, damn it, I want a polar bear. It's, I see what you were trying to do. You did so many other nice things, it balances out. Like, for Sarah Hess made a lot of really good decisions in Season 1. She made if you actually follow all the interviews like I did, she really pretty much wrote Rhaenyra and Alicent. She had final pass on those. But, not dredging all that up, the point is, I'm trying to accurately deduce what they're doing, and to come up with wild theories based on the trailer is an alien concept to those of us who were following every spy photo and trying to logically piece the puzzle together. There's other people who do look at the spy photos and then trying to make up crazy theories about them, and the worst part is the great majority just make theories based on the trailer. But we got actual spy photos that this is Addam of Hull with Seasmoke in the second photo meeting Rhaenyra during the sowing of the seeds. And from the way the teaser is set up, I think that what they wanted to do was to tease, is this Laenor coming back? It actually isn't. Because the Laenor surviving was a change from the books, there was so much crazy speculation about that, which I will hammer people for when it turns out to not be true. Because that's what should have happened in Game of Thrones. Like when the Talissa honeypot thing didn't turn out to be true in Season 4 after she died, there were no consequences to the channel leaders and website leaders who had treated it as fact for 2 years. That the delusion people got into that, no, Season 7 was good because Littlefinger didn't die like that. That was a faceless man. And this isn't just a theory, it's a fact. And then the next year, that Season 8, he wasn't a faceless man. That the next year, when your theory turns out to be wrong, people should stop listening to you, or you should own up to it, or something like that. So I will hammer you for, you owned this. You doubled down on this, and oh no, it's just a theory. And I'm not making fun of YouTube people or even websites here. What little I've seen of the TikTokers, they're the scum of the earth. And even openly saying, I'm coming up with the most entertaining theory. I've talked about this before. I'll link it in the description box below. That I was horrified that on TikTok, they're trying to come up with the most entertaining thing, rather than what's true. I was actually horrified that New Rockstars, which I consider a mainstream YouTube channel, reported that Sapochnik left because his wife wasn't made a producer as fact in their teaser reaction, when in the video I was yelling about TikTokers and stuff, I was complaining at length that we don't know if that's true. I wouldn't report something that sensitive unless I had some hint of confirmation about it. And it's just rumor being spun as fact. I think it was irresponsible. I love New Rockstars. I don't even blame them, because they probably saw it reported as fact by other clickbaiters. They're not a clickbait channel. They probably saw clickbait reporting as fact and got tricked. But when people just let the rumor mill fly and the telephone game mutates things, Purple Monkey Dishwasher, you know what I mean. That there were all these crazy elaborate theories about, no, Laenor will come back, and just at the time I thought, maybe they'll just say he died off screen in the 6-year time jump, and that'll be the end of it, and it'll be relatively close to what the books did. That's reasonably what the spy community thinks is happening now. We don't know for sure, but the suspicion for me, Wake the Dragon, Redanian Intelligence, is because this new dragon rider is showing up with Seasmoke, and because a dragon will never take a second rider individually, like they can have a passenger, but Rhaena's looking at him because she silently realizes the only way Seasmoke has a new rider is if Laenor is dead. That the fact that he's there means Laenor is dead. And we might never figure out the specifics of it, but she just knows it as a fact that it means Laenor's dead. And I don't think that's a bad fate for the character. He dies in the book. He gets assassinated. And I like that whole idea from Breaking Bad that Bryan Cranston said that in those 2 years where he was a ruthless meth dealer, Walter White lived more in those 2 years than he had in the past 20. That the whole thing, that Laenor felt trapped by the court, by his family's expectations, that's as good a story, as better story than most people get in life in Westeros. That he left and for 6 years lived his best life with his lover, being fighting pirates in the Stepstones as a heroic sailor, and made no compromises and lived the way he wanted to live, and lived to the fullest for 6 years, rather than just trudge along trapped. It's a literary trope. I've seen it in more than one thing, that in those 6 years I lived so much that it was worth it. Some people disagree. I understand that some people are annoyed they killed off a gay character. There's going to be other gay characters and new characters that get introduced later, so don't worry about that. I understand you'd be upset about, well, they killed Joffrey Longmouth in one episode. Well, there's going to be other characters like Jane Arryn, for example. But there was so much crazy theorization, particularly with Laenor, and how, like, I've even seen relatively clickbaity channels on YouTube hesitant to say, well, no, that isn't Nettles. No, that isn't Dreamfire into Laena. This must be Addam. And we know from spy photos it's Addam of Hull with Seasmoke in both shots, and this is, for the book fandom, relatively close. They wanted to give Laenor a nicer ending. But it seems that in the 6-year time jump, he died fighting in the Stepstones, living his best life. Addam of Hull shows up on Seasmoke at the sowing of the seeds in episode 7, and Rhaenyra instantly realizes if this dragon has a new rider, it means Laenor died somehow. So that's what we think is going on, and it was weird that it wasn't one person, it wasn't even the usual clickbait channels, it's multiple, even looking at the comment sections for other reaction videos. It's one of those, is this what you call the Mandela effect? Or the crowd mentality effect? Mandela effect is similar to that, I think. But I don't want to misuse the term. I'm worried that I'm Mandela affecting the exact definition of the term Mandela effect, where it's a crowd mistake about what something was, or it's about imperfect memory, actually, Mandela effect. But you know what I mean, crowd mentality leading to, I guess, what you'd call a standalone complex, where multiple people independently come up to the same inaccurate conclusion, based on just something reminded them of something. But my official policy, closing here, is I will report on any spy thing just short of endangering our sources. That they're, like, script leaks and casting sheets I've seen, that I wouldn't post an exact, here's a sheet of dialogue, because that would encounter legal trouble. Not even necessarily for me, but for the source who is nice enough to leak it for us. Leaking it's a dance. I'm not one of the main leakers. I'm in contact with the people who are Wake the Dragon Redanian who are in contact with leak sources, and it's you tease it out, you speak in vague terms, so that no one leak source gets in trouble. Unless it's a spy photo, and then it's, it's fair game, but it's a dance. It's an artful dance where we try to go with what is fair game to actually publicly talk about that wouldn't out a source, or wouldn't legally... Like, if someone said, I went into HBO's office and physically stole a server filled with finished CGI of dragon scenes, I would report them to HBO rather than release it, because that is not part of... as Omar said, it's all in the game, but not civilians. If you're filming an exterior scene at a beach where we can get spy photos, it's all in the game. But stealing stuff from the office, that is not the same thing. I would never condone or encourage that by reporting on it. But this is a book adaptation of a book I've read. And unless you say, I'm not reading the book, I'm watching it cold, and I like speculating on the trailer without knowing the book, fair enough. But if you know who Nettles is, if you know who Daeron is, you're spoiled enough. And I won't come to your channel and tell you about it. But the weirdest thing is in the comment sections, people who insist this is Nettles, when I say, I have spy photos, we know it isn't. They just keep insisting. Is that what the internet has turned us into? That everyone has their own truth now? That, well, I refuse... There is no graphite on the ground. I refuse to believe this is Addam of Hull. I have a spy photo, it's Addam. I reject your facts. When, like, I've seen a script leak, I have proven... We've had reliable leak sources who built up a reputation saying, no, that's not what they're doing. Particularly when the leakers are saying it's actually a relatively mundane, close-to-the-books thing. They're going, I prefer my more elaborate explanation. Really? You're not entitled to your own facts with that. And I understand if you don't want me to correct you, tell you you're wrong, but it's the people who will then start loudly proclaiming, like on TikTok, this theory of Littlefinger was a faceless man is correct. And how dare you tell me otherwise for actively circulating. Not just that you believe it, you're circulating it. So in closing, I guess, these two shots were relatively innocuous, and even following the spy photos, we knew, oh, that's Addam of Hull. And it's weird, the meta-level thing of how when people just see something odd in a trailer. This is not the worst example of that I've ever seen. Not for this show, but for other TV shows, like remember Lord of the Rings projects, where just something odd in the trailer, just the way it was lit, or the way it was juxtaposed, or whatever, led to theories that were just reading meaning into it that even the trailer creators didn't want to say. It's a weird phenomenon like that with trailers, that sometimes you just latch on to that. Or even something even more mundane than this, like, you do realize that they're intercutting unrelated scenes, that, like, because you have a cut of... Most people didn't do this, but you always run into that one person who goes, Rhaenyra is gonna fight Aemon, because the scene of showing her on her saddle was right after his, and, like, they're intercutting them. It's a trailer. I don't know, but this isn't worth getting worked up about for the purpose... If you've been following the spy photos with me, you knew what this was. And I'm really looking forward to your thoughts on this in the comments section. We know what this is, and how people need to theorize, and then even when you innocuously point out, oh, we know what that is, it's fine. They're still doing that, because there's plenty of other things to theorize about, like, what is Alicent doing at that lake? I honestly don't know. None of the spies know. So let's focus on the bigger issues like that, and not... Oh, we're looking forward to this. Every blonde guy in the background is going to be Daeron. There's always going to be some people claiming in the next trailer or something, well, that's got to be Daeron. It's not. You want it to be Daeron, and you latched on to this. That isn't proof of anything, of just reading in. Guys, they're not even doing the Battle of the Gullet this year. We're pretty sure that... I'm one of the fan channels that's been following the behind-the-scenes news since April on a daily basis. I know what I'm talking about here, so please leave your comments. I'm going to try to answer all of them.